here as a friend, and he came last time. And these are my wonderful students. We have scholars here from their freshman academy this year. So let's give them all a round of applause and welcome them. Our phones are put away, and our attention is on right now, Mr. Williams. Okay.
All right, guys, thank you for having me today. Happy to come and speak to you about the technology and the car business really as a whole. Does anyone know when the first cars were made? Anybody have any idea? Take a guess at it.
What year do you think? Just throw one out.
Maybe
1700s?
Okay, pretty close. 1886, guys. The first car was designed. If we think about that first car being designed in 1886 and now it being 2022, going into 23, we can obviously assume that some things have changed, right? So I want to go through some of the things that will resonate with you guys. In 1908, the Model T was designed, and it was an open-air car, which meant you might not have doors on it, and you had to crank to start it. Has anyone ever seen a car that you had to crank to start? No, in 1911, they started with electric starters. So as you guys are familiar now with the keys, or you'll see out on these cars that we brought today, the push-button start. That's all technology, and that's all advanced throughout the years. Now, something that's important, I know to myself, and probably a lot of you guys, anybody in here like music? Anybody listen to music? Excellent.
Mr.
Right.
Williams?
Yeah.
I'm so sorry I interrupt you. I forgot about this, guys. What I want you to do is, as Mr. Williams is talking, he's going to be telling you some wonderful things, and some things that you do know, some things you've never heard of before, and maybe some things you wanted to know that he's going to touch upon. So as he's speaking, if you could take a look, like just do one of each, okay, as he's speaking. And if there's something that he touches upon that I didn't know that, you can just jot that down. It don't be complete sentences or anything like that. I just want you to jot some things down. I'm sorry, Mr. Williams.
Oh, you're fine. You're fine. All right, so back to music, right? A lot of Americans, when they get in their car, one of the first things they do, right, is turn on their radio. And we think about the technology that our cars have had throughout the years. In 1930, actually quite a while ago, the first car radio was actually in the vehicle. Now, I know you guys are quite a bit younger than I am, but has anyone ever played a cassette tape before? You guys know what a cassette tape? Okay, a couple of you. All right. So guys, we know today, obviously, most of us obtain our music where? On our phones, exactly right.
Like Bluetooth.
Yeah, Bluetooth, via Wi-Fi, right? We have subscriptions to music streaming. Well, years ago, when I was a kid, we didn't have those things, right? We didn't even have the internet. So we had to buy what's called cassette tapes. So for those of you who've not seen them, little small, we have like 8 tracks, yeah, records even before that. But for those of you who have not seen them, they're pieces of plastic about this big, and they have a tape in them, right? And you'd have to rewind the tape if you wanted to listen to the song, which seems archaic, right? It seems like that was never a possibility in today's world that we live in. But that just goes to show you how technology advances. So in 1970, again, we got a cassette player in our car. That was a big deal. Now I want you guys to think about your cars, or the cars in your family, whether it be your parents or your grandparents. Does anyone in the room have a parent or a grandparent or an aunt and uncle that has a CD player in their car? Okay, you got a CD player in your car, right? Guys, CD players weren't introduced into automobiles until 1984, which I know for many of you seems like probably a very, very long time ago, but for people like myself, we remember those days. Nowadays, they don't even have CD players in cars, right? They have streaming services. We have wireless charging. We have Bluetooth connectivity, as this young lady pointed out. So when it comes to the music and the enjoyment, technology has advanced quite a bit in cars, but I want to hit on a couple other things where technology has really, really helped us in automobiles. And most importantly to me, because I care about my safety, but I also have a young daughter, right? I want to keep her safe in the car, is the safety technology is continuing to advance leaps and bounds, right? Years and years ago, there was a time when cars didn't even have safety belts, right? You didn't even buckle up in them. Yeah, no safety belts, no seat belts. And then as time went on, we got introduced to things like airbags. Now we have collision avoidance. For instance, the one vehicle that you're going to see out there has night vision. Has anyone ever seen night vision?
Yes.
All right, it's crazy that the level of technology that these have. Safety is the big one, and then convenience being the second one. Who's heard of Tesla? Anyone heard of Tesla? Okay, does anyone know what Tesla is known for in their cars?
Like auto, like, yeah.
Yeah, you guys are exactly right. Autopilot. Number one, they're electric cars, meaning they run on electricity. They don't have to go to a gas station. That's a big piece. But then number two, as you guys are talking about, the autopilot. The autopilot on these cars, and not just on Tesla now, it's beginning to advance throughout all the different makes and models, is allowing people to travel without actually having to drive. All right? I'm going to show you a video, and I want to kind of switch frames here, but the video I'm going to show you guys actually shows the manufacturing of cars. And we think back in 1886, or the early 1900s, or the 1930s. When somebody built a car, they essentially had to do it by hand. Right? Everything was handmade. Has anyone seen or been around anyone who's welded anything? Anybody's dad weld or anything like that? Okay, done some welding. Years ago, they would have to weld all of those pieces together on those cars. And what you're going to see in this video is we now have robots to do all that. Now, robots are able to provide better precision, right? Because they're able to measure down to the smallest increment that we measure. So we're going to watch this video now, and then I'll wrap up and we'll get out to the fun part and we'll take a look at those vehicles. Does that sound good? All right, guys. All right, so guys, when we look at that video, we look at the process of building the car. It's very much changed over the past few decades as we get more artificial intelligence or we introduce more technology into our manufacturing. But what I want to talk to you about real quick is how cars actually make it to the road, right? Many of you have probably been to a car dealership before. You show up, we've got a bunch of cars on display, you pick one out and you drive it home. What we don't think about is everything that goes into that car before it hits the lot, before it ends up in your driveway. So the first thing I want to talk about is, did you guys notice that the robots are pressing some of those parts and pieces? Right, well, where do those parts and pieces come from? Because they come from suppliers. It used to be someone would have to watch the supply, and when it got low, they would order more. Right, it's kind of like maybe in your cafeteria. What was for lunch today? Anybody have lunch here?
General Tso's chicken.
What was it?
General Tso.
Oh, okay, chicken. General Tso's chicken, nice. So what they would do is they say, okay, we're getting low on General Tso's chicken. We have it again next week. We need to order more. Right, well, what's cool about this is a robot actually monitors all that, or a computer system, and what it does is it automatically orders it and says, hey, we're running low on this, we need more. That allows the supply chain to flow seamlessly. Then the parts come in where the robots, you guys notice the robots putting the parts together and doing the welding and doing the measuring. That used to be a manual labor job, so someone would actually do that welding or do the painting. Right now we have robots, and then the actual human interaction, guys, is maintaining the robots, right, or knowing how the computer systems work. Quality control, you saw after the vehicle is manufactured. Our vehicles are so, I want to say so much quality because we're able to utilize technology to make them better. The fits are better, the welds are better, the soundproofing is better, the paint is better. When we talk about driving the car, you purchase the car. As we talked about earlier, Tesla, some of these vehicles have self-driving functions where they'll allow you to drive without having to manually push the gas pedal, steer the wheel, hit the brakes, and a bunch of other safety features which you guys are going to get to see in those cars. Before we go see those cars, does anyone have any questions regarding technology in our automobiles today? You guys are excited to see the cars? You just want to get outside? No, you don't? You just want to stay in here? Who wants to go outside and see the cars? All right, let's go.